morning, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Bizelevate. When it comes to sales in business, it's all about generating revenue and profits for the business by offering your product or services to the market. Now, small businesses do have small sales teams, or sometimes the business owner himself acts as the salesperson for the business. For bigger companies, you have big sales teams. But at the end of the day, the sales team is required. It needs to be given all the required resources to operate at its optimum and make sure that it does what it does best, that is, generate revenue. As we all know, for any sales team to work at its best, at its optimum, you require a few things. And the most important thing is, of course, product or service training. Your sales team needs to have in-depth knowledge of the product or service that they're selling. Its USP, who is a target audience, what needs to be promoted, the elevator pitch, the sales pitch, everything has to be in place, and that should be offered as a training to the sales team. They have to be well trained. Apart from the sales training, they need to know the sales process as well, as to what comes after. Once you have taken charge of a sales, to convert that lead to deal, there are quite a few things that go through, that the person has to go through. So you need to make sure that they are aware of it, giving the quotation, following up, then making sure that the negotiations happen and the deal is closed. For small ticket size, it might be a very short process, but for big ticket size or complex transactions, it can get as complex as it can be. But the sales team has to be aware of all these aspects. Another important aspect is a lot of people come to me and say, oh yeah, we do get a lot of inquiries, but they don't convert. Wow. In this scenario, what do we do? The first is, of course, do you have, or does your sales team know the buyer persona? So if they have, then they can qualify the lead. Qualifying a lead can take another different aspect altogether, because not everybody in the market can be your prospective client. Not always everybody will buy from you. So how do you qualify a lead? Well, you need to know if they have a need in the first place. You need to know that you're speaking to the decision maker, or the person who has the authority to make that purchase decision. Is it time bound? And of course, do they have the budget, what they're intended to purchase? So once you've qualified the lead, the sales team has to be kind of trained in this aspect of how to qualify, verify that lead. Because if you are going to talk business with each and every lead that comes across, then you might be wasting your time, because they might be just fishing for information and really have no intention to buy from you. So qualifying a lead is a very, very important aspect. Once a lead is qualified and the salesperson gets talking, the salesperson needs to know how to handle objections, because there would be various objections that can arise in a transaction. People might say, oh, you're costly, you're expensive, okay, you don't have the quality that I desire, or there's something or the other that comes up as an excuse for not to purchase from you. So how to handle those? So objection handling is another training the salesperson requires. As I said, that the salespeople are the people who get in revenue for the business. Every business has its own targets for the week, for the month, for the year, to generate X amount of revenue. So how can these targets be communicated to the salespeople so they are aware how much money or how many units or how many deals they need to make. They need to have a fair idea of how many numbers of units they need to sell or how much revenue they have to generate on a regular basis, so that they can add value to the business. It's just not about selling, but it's also about closing that sale and making that revenue. Apart from this, the salesperson has to have enough idea of how to keep this client happy and keep them in our kitty, because acquiring a new client is a costly affair, but maintaining an existing client is much cheaper, much more economical. So a little bit of interpersonal skills, a little bit of good communication, a little bit of everything that can take that conversation on a long-term basis, or that relation on a long-term basis, is most essential for a salesperson. So when you are grooming your sales team, make sure that they are trained in the product, in qualifying a lead, in handling objections, in achieving their targets, and most important is maintaining relationship with their existing clientele. Well, that's all for today. Let me see you tomorrow, same time, same platform. Till then, have a rocking weekend.